Okay, so let's continue our next video in practice exam questions for AWS certified developer associate exam. So let's read question number 11. A company is migrating legacy internal application to AWS. So some application earlier running on their internal server, now they want to run on AWS. Leadership wants to write the internal employee directory to use native AWS service. So when the application during the earlier days they run on their internal server, so they maintain employee directory internally. But now they want to move to AWS, so they want to store those employee information somewhere in AWS service. A developer needs to create a solution for storing employee contact details and high resolution photos. So employee details should contain contact details and photos. This solution will enable the search and retrieval of each employee details and with high resolution photos. So where basically they should store so that they can easily retrieve. Encode each employee's contact information and photo using base64, store in Amazon DynamoDB. So in DynamoDB, you can store the employee contact detail, which is fine, but for the photos, this is not an ideal solution. Store each employee contact information in DynamoDB along with the object key of the photo stored in Amazon S3. So that looks correct because because S3 is basically designed to store the objects like the photos, videos, and in the DynamoDB table you are going to store the company's information, but the photos is at the S3 bucket, and then within the table you will create a one more column where you will see okay photos URL. Then you can point to the S3 bucket URL. C can be the correct answer. Oh, sorry, B. Use Amazon Cognito user pool to implement the employee directory. No. So Cognito user pool is like how you can store the photos. Store employee contact information RDS and photos in EFS. No. So B is the correct answer. Question number 12. A developer is creating an application that will give users the ability to store photos from their cell phone in the cloud. So some application, so user using their mobile are going to upload their photos and that photo is going to store over the cloud. The application need to support tens of thousands of users, so many users. The application use an API gateway, REST API that is integrated with Lambda function to process the photos. So basically, when the users trying to upload the photo, they are going to call the REST API internally like backend, and that is going to call the Lambda function to process the photo because they uploaded the photo. So the Lambda is going to take care of that. And the application store the photos in DynamoDB. And the application store details about the photo like metadata, creation date, maybe in the name. User need to create an account to access this application. In the application, user must be able to upload photo, retrieve previously uploaded photo. The photo will range inside to 300 KB to 500. What solution will meet this requirement? So what uh, actually we want to do? User needs to create an account to access the application. So there are thousands of users. All the user want to create an account in the application user and then wants to upload the photo and then retrieve the photo. Okay, so what should we do? Use Cognito user pool to manage user account. Create an Cognito user pool authorizer in API gateway to control the API. Use the Lambda function to store the photo and details in DynamoDB table. So till this point looks okay, but as soon as they said, nah, store the photo in DynamoDB table, which is not the ideal process, looks wrong. Use Amazon Cognito user pool to manage user account. Create an Amazon Cognito user pool authorizer in API gateway to control the API. Use the Lambda function to store the photo in Amazon S3, correct. Store the S3 key as part of the photo table in DynamoDB, correct. Previously stored photo will be upload photos by querying. Yeah, B looks correct. Create an IAM user for each user for application sign up process. No. Create a user table in DynamoDB table. Use the table to manage user account. Create a Lambda authorizer that validate user credential against the user table. No. Like why should we want to manually validate when you have the Cognito service to do the same? So B looks correct answer. Question number 30. A company receives food orders from multiple partners. The company has a microservice application that use API gateway with AWS Lambda integration. Each partner send orders by calling a customized API that is exposed through API gateway. The API then called a shared Lambda function to process the order. Partners need to notify it after the Lambda function process the order. Each partner must receive updates for only the partner's own order. So what actually is, you have maybe some company like a website, and so many partners are placing the orders on your website, and that is going to process via API gateway and the Lambda function. And there is only one Lambda function that is going to process. So when they are placing the order, multiple companies are placing the order, your application processing those orders. So that company, all those company want to know the updates of their own orders. So let's suppose company A process the order A. So they want to know the update for the only order A, not for the order B, which is processed by some another company or which is placed by some other company. Like whether the order has been cancelled, placed, what are the status. The company wants to add new partners. Okay, so they want to add the new partner as well. So what would be the solution so that we don't need to do the code changes or maybe few code changes, and it should be scalable. Okay, and we need to if you see the company want to receive an update, like so we need to send an update to the partner. So some kind of a notification. Create a different SNS topic for each partner. Okay, configure the Lambda function to publish message for each partner. This looks correct, but it's not scalable because they are adding the new partners. As soon as the new partner has been added, we need to add the new SNS topic, and then yeah, so create a different Lambda function. No, it should be the shared Lambda function. Create a simple notification service topic. It means they created only one topic. Configure the Lambda function to publish message with specific attributes to the topic. Subscribe each partner to the SNS topic. Okay, if you read this point, this looks okay, but here is a problem. If one topic is being subscribed by all the partners, then all the data will be received by all the company. But we want only partner can receive updates on their own orders. So that's why option say apply the appropriate filter policy to the topic subscription. So whenever any company subscribe to the topic and they want to consume the data, it gets filtered out. So they will only consume the data for their own. So this looks correct, and also it's scalable because we have only one topic. Any new partner has been added, there is no impact. Create one, we just need to like subscribe that. Create one a notification service, subscribe all partner. This looks also correct, but if they subscribe all partner, then all the partner are going to receive for all the orders, which is contradict uh, from the question which is being asked. Okay, so C looks correct. Question number 14. A financial company must store original customer records for 10 years for legal reason. So they want to store the customer records for 10 years. A complete record contains PI information, personal information, maybe like a phone number, date of birth. According to local regulation, PI is available to only certain people in the company and must not be shared with third parties. Alright, so PI information can be only visible to some, like some people, but not with everyone. The company needs to make the records available to third party organization for, but they also want to share the information with third party, but without the PI. A developer must store the original immutable record in S3. Depending on who access the S3 document, the document should be written as is or with the PI removed. So they said information is stored in S3, original. But if certain people in the company want to access, so they will see even the PI information. But if third party trying to access S3, they will see information without PI. The developer has written a Lambda function to remove the PI. The function is named remove PI. What should the developer do? So we have two services, one is S3, one is Lambda. What should the developer do so that the company can meet this requirement? And we need to maintain only one copy of the document. So you can't say, okay, let's create two S3 bucket, one with just the whole record and one with the record with the PI removed, and third party can access different bucket, and this people can contain this. That will be the viable solution, but we have the restriction in the question. We need to maintain only one copy, because in that way we are maintaining two copies. So set up S3 event notification that invoke the remove PI function whenever S3 get request is made. Okay, so it looks correct, but it is wrong. Why? Whenever any get request is made, you can't set up S3 notification. S3 notification can be uh, used on put request, post request, like delete request, create request, not on the get request. So A wrong. Set up the S3 event notification that invokes the remove PI function when a S3 put request is made. No, because when you are putting the records, you said while putting the records, I am going to remove the PI. If you do this, either you are maintaining the two copies, or either you are even not maintaining the actual record, right? Create an S3 object lambda access point from the S3 console. Select the remove PI function. Use the S3 access point to access the object without PI. This looks correct. They said within the S3 we have one option called access point. We can create an access point which is a different URL, which is going to provide a one URL to access the S3. And in that URL, we can point that function, remove PI function, and whenever third party, and we can share that URL with the third party. And when that third party trying to access that URL to get the something from the S3 bucket, that function is being called, and they will get the objects without PI information. C looks correct. Create an S3 access point. Okay. Use access point name to call the this API. Get object legal hold. So no, we just need to get the objects, not something like get object legal hold. This is wrong. So C looks correct. Question number 15. A developer is deploying an AWS Lambda function. The developer wants the ability to return an older version of the function quickly. So maybe you deployed first version, second version, and then maybe third version, fourth version, uh, and at some point you want to revert to some previous version. So how can the developer achieve this goal? So you can return to the previous version if you are maintaining the versions, or if you are maintaining the aliases, right? So use AWS Oops work? No. Use function aliases? Yes, correct. Maintain deployment package, older version S3? Wrong. Use code pipeline? No. So B is the correct answer. A developer has written an AWS Lambda function, and the function is CPU bound. The developer want to ensure that the function return the response quickly. So if they want response should be quickly, so we need to make sure the function should run very fast. And even though it mentions it's CPU bound, so what should we do? So basically we can increase the memory. Increase the function CPU core count? Wrong, because Lambda is a serverless. You can't increase the CPU directly. Increase the memory? Yes. Now you can say function is CPU bound. Why should we increase the memory? Because these are uh, directly related, but in our hand we can increase the memory, and at the backend CPU, more CPU will be allocated. Reserved concurrency? No. So reserved concurrency means like how many lambda you can run in parallel. A timeout? Wrong. So B is the correct answer. Question number 17. For a deployment using code deploy, what is the run order of hooks? So what is the run order? This question also we have covered earlier as well. So before install application stop now. So first, like we need to stop the application, then do some cleanup, and then install your application, install your packages, then start your application, and then validate. So here you are validating the service in last C and D before the start. So C and D looks wrong. Here after starting the application, you are installing some packages, looks wrong. And even before stopping, you are doing some cleanup wrong. So B is the correct answer. First stop the application, do some cleanup like before install steps, whatever. Then install your packages and then start your application. So B is the correct. Question number 18. A company is building a serverless application on AWS. The application uses Lambda function to process the customer orders 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The Lambda function calls an external vendor HTTP API to process payments. So Lambda is also calling one API internally. During load test, a developer discovered that the external vendor payment processing API occasionally timeout. So while testing, load testing maybe put some more load, they feel that the external vendor API getting timeout. The company expects that some payment processing API call will return errors. The company wanted the support team to receive notification in real time only when the payment processing external API rate exceed 5% of the total number. So they already discovered this. So it can happen in the production. So what they want is, if this happen in the production, uh, support team should get notification, and when they should get a notification when the when the error rate has exceed 5% of the total transaction in hour. The developer need to use an existing simple notification. So to notify, they can use no SNS. And what will the solution? So basically, you need to set up some kind of alarm, and that alarm is going to trigger publish some notification to SNS. From SNS, maybe they will get some email, right? But the condition is when the error rate is exceed 5%. So some kind of metrics, right? Uh, Write the result of payment processing to CloudWatch log. Okay. Use CloudWatch log inside to query the CloudWatch log. Schedule the Lambda function to check the CloudWatch logs. Wrong. You should not schedule the how, uh, then it's not a real time, right? So maybe if you are scheduled after 30 minutes, 1 hour, it's not real time. So A looks wrong. Publish custom metrics to CloudWatch that record the failure. Okay. Configure a CloudWatch alarm to notify the existing. Yeah, CloudWatch alarm is the correct option. You don't need a Lambda function to do that. When you set up the alarm, and as soon as they found out, okay, the rate has been exceeded, they will notify to the SNS topic. Publish the result of external processing API to the SNS topic directly. No, because we don't want to publish the result. It is a success result as well, and the failure result. We only want to notify when the rate exceed 5%. Write the result of external payment process to S3. Schedule an Athena to run query. No. So B is the correct answer. Question number 19. A company is offering API as a service over the internet to provide unauthenticated read access to statistical information that is updated daily. So basically, no need to authenticate if you want to get this information. The company uses API gateway Lambda function to develop the API. The services become popular, and the company wants to enhance the responsiveness of the API. So what should the company do? So you are the like API gateway, and after API gateway is the Lambda. Enable API, enable API caching, enable API caching in API gateway. That looks correct, because if you enable API caching, then the response will be fast. You should API will not go to the backend. Enable API gateway to user a VPC endpoint wrong. A course of the API like cross origin is this is not something cross origin. Configure API keys in API. No. So A looks correct. Question number 20. A developer want to store information about movies. Each movie has a title, release year, and genre. The movie information can also include additional property about the cast and the production crew. The additional information is inconsistent across movies. So as soon as this mention it and inconsistent, so it means you can't use the relational database or something like that. For example, one movie might has have a director, but another movie might have a animal trainer. So what should solution the developer should implement? And they have to follow these queries. For a given title and the release year, So if they provide the title and the year, they want the list of the movie. If they provide the title, they want the list of the movie and the title. For if they provide the genre, they want the details of the movie. So let's quickly go through the options. So DynamoDB, RDS, RDS. So C and D rejected because it's clearly mentioned some movie don't contain many attributes. So we have to use the NoSQL, like where there is no schema. So A and B. Now out of A and B, which one is correct? Create an DynamoDB table. Configure the table with the primary key that consists of a title as a partition key. Is this correct? Because for a given title and a release year, you want the details of the movie. So if you create a title as a partition key, that can be work, and release year as a sort key, that can work, because the first query will be satisfied. Create a global secondary index that use the genre as a partition key and title as a sort key, because for a given genre, get all the details. Because if you create a secondary index and where the partition key genre, then you can get the details, right? So A is the correct. Here, configure the table with the primary key consist of the genre. If you consist a primary key as the genre, then how you can like get these details for a given title and release year, and the release sort of create a secondary index that use the title as the partition key. No, A looks correct. So that's it. That's the end of the video, and thank you.